What we've got here today is a leather jacket with a tear in that you can see here. We're going to show you how to actually repair that from behind with a sub patch, bringing that all together. First part of the process is to actually get into the tear. Doing that, we actually have to undo the seam. So we're going to turn the jacket inside out, and then we're going to actually open up the seam for you along here, depending on where the tear is. We'll take the seam down on either side. Doesn't really particularly matter which side we're going to do it on. We can do it either side, just as long as we can get to the tear. Going to use a seam ripper to do that, and we actually undo the actual stitching itself so that we can then redo that stitching back up again. Okay, what we've got to do is obviously undo all the stitching work along here. We're very, very carefully unpicking that with the seam ripper. Carefully going along, unpicking bit by bit. We want to get about 2 to 3 inches either side of the actual tear so we can get the backing fabric in there to do that. So we'll just carefully go along unpicking all that stitch work. Got to be careful that we don't actually catch the lining itself. That's sufficient. And just snip that off so that we can actually get in with the timber that we want to put in there, which is like a backing plate almost when we're actually doing the actual tear. So we've got all that open. So what we need to do now is to actually turn the arm back in the correct way again, and then we've got to feed blind the solid piece of timber in, because that's going to work underneath to give us a platform to work against. So we need to get that in the actual lining and in between the lining and the actual jacket itself to give us a platform. That's now in there, and we can actually see the tear, and we can now work on that tear. What we've got to do with the tear is actually get it so that when the job is finished, it's like a natural scar line in the leather, because you'll never get it invisible because it is natural. So first of all, we've got all that lined up, and then we're going to put a piece of clear sellotape onto the tear to hold it in position for us so that we can actually put the backing fabric on. Once that's done, we can take out the timber and turn the arm inside out again, ready for the backing fabric to go on. We need to pull the jacket through the actual lining so that we can actually see what we're doing to do the repair. I'm going to use the timber, back down the arm again to give us a solid surface to work against for putting in the sub patch, for gluing that in position to give it strength. That's all in position. This is a water-based glue that we manufacture. It's quite a unique glue in respect that you can actually dry this with a hairdryer to speed up your process, actually shortening the whole process of gluing any tears quite considerably compared to solvent-based products, which obviously clearly aren't very good for your health either, whereas this is water-based glue. It's environmentally friendly and it's quite safe to use. First of all, what I want to do is to actually get a piece of glue by slightly opening the tear and get a little bit of glue in that, sort of tear line that you can see here, to bond that together before we actually put in the sub patch. That can then just be wiped over with your finger just to smooth that glue down. I'm then going to use the hairdryer to quickly speed that up, because that'll dry that within a couple of seconds. Next stage of the process, I want to cut a piece of backing fabric approximately about 1 inch bigger than the actual tear itself, because what you don't want to do is to actually glue to the definitive edges, because that will actually show up on your item. So you want to actually put the glue on and actually leave approximately, I would say the glue wants to sort of go around this area here, so you're actually leaving the outside edges without any glue on them, because then you're not going to get that definitive item showing up, that you've actually put in as a backing fabric. So we're going to put the glue on to the actual leather itself, and then we're going to smooth that glue out and then put on the backing fabric. wipe that into position. And as you can sort of see there, you can see the slightly shinier surface coming through the backing fabric. That's the glue, and obviously all this has not been glued because that then won't actually show up on the underneath of your leather garment. I'm going to quickly dry that with a hairdryer again to speed up the process. I'm going to remove the timber now and actually turn the arm back into the correct side again. Carefully feed that through. It is still delicate at the moment, it's not completely fully set because I don't want it to be just yet. You've got your sellotape still here covering the tear. What we want you to do now is to very, very carefully take the sellotape off, slowly doing that so that you don't actually reopen that tear because it will be delicate at the moment, holding the tear as you go through. What we're going to do now is get a tiny bit of the glue on the toothpick. I just want to actually do the final sort of stages to the gluing by literally bending the leather item to open that up to get a tiny bit of glue running in that tear there. And once that's done and that's all put back together again, this is going to be an extremely strong bonded tear that's going to work exceptionally well. If you just wipe off the excess, with it being water based, it can just simply wipe off and that's it, it's done. You can then dry that with the hairdryer and your job is complete. As you can see, that's now fully repaired and the tear is virtually invisible. Thanks very much for watching the video from the Leather Repair Company.